Hi everyone and welcome to yet another tutorial of mine. It's nice to come with you with this tutorial that we have today. Today, just as we've always done with previous videos within the series, we're going to be looking at the alignment group. The alignment group is here. This is the alignment group. So we're looking at all the tools within the alignment group and what they can do. You best understand what the tools in the alignment group does by using a table like what we have here. And so what I'm going to do is to show you what each and every one of these tools can do in Excel. All right, so let's start off with these ones here. So if you just put your cursor in pointing to any one of these tools, you see top align, you see middle align, and then you see bottom align. So what exactly do these ones do? Well, you do not see the immediate effect of these except we increase the row height. So I'm going to increase the row height so that you can actually see what they do. So currently now, and the default in Excel is that the content of a cell is aligned to the bottom. It's aligned to the bottom here. So if we select all of it and then align it to top here, see what happens. So it aligns to the top here. Most of the time where maybe you want to write a short note within a cell, then you can choose to align it to the top and it will do just so for you. So that's what we have here. Well, this also aligns to the middle, and this is what it is. So you can see that each of the content of these cells has got some breathing space around it, and so it is aligned to the middle. Almost often you will find that this is the default in most professional presentations, in magazines, and in published tables. This is what you're going to see. So you could choose to format your cells so that they are aligned to the middle. It tends to give your content breathing space and makes it easy for readers to read the content. The default is aligned to the bottom, yes, and that is what you have here. So you can choose which you want. I tend to want to align it to the middle. Then bringing your cursor here, we find that we can align to the left, we can align to center, quite different from middle align. So we can align to center and we can align to right. Okay. Now, by default, all text entries are aligned to the left, except you choose to change it. So this is the default of Excel when you enter content in cells. All text content or string contents are aligned to the left, but you have numbers like this aligned to the right. And if you try to change it, it wouldn't change because it sees that that is where it should be. But that's different from just numbers that are not in currency format or that has the comma style in it. For example, these numbers, although representing years, we can have them at the middle, we can have them aligned to the left this way. Whichever is ideal, you want to do that. So you also want to align this to the middle so that your table has a look. So for other cells that may have currencies or may have the comma format in them, the header and the entries can be aligned to the right, so that it makes sense when we when it is presented. Okay, so that's what all of this does, and most of us are used to that of the center. A lot of people love to align, in fact, everything to the center, you know, like this, selecting all, and this way. Likely to give it some space so that it's visible for everybody to see, but whichever is ideal to you, you can use it. But I tend to want all text aligned to the left, except for currencies or numbers, as it may be. Okay, so let's go to the next tools that we might have to work with. Okay, so we have this tool here, and it's called orientation, you know, text orientation. So when you look at it and point to it rather, you're going to see that it says rotate your text diagonally or vertically. This is a great way to label narrow columns. So for example, we have this here. We could select it and then click on this, and we'll have different formats that we can apply. We could apply this, and this is what happens. And to make it more visible, you need to increase the height of the row. Fine, this might not look appropriate, but I just want to use it to show you what the text orientation does. So we can have others like this, and then like this, and then we have more that we can use here. Actually, this is what represents this orientation that we're doing here. So sometimes you may not have found one that is appropriate here. You can either come here and then to the last option here and click to get at these alignments. We've done much of this here because they're just there to handle. We'll do more of others. These are the wrap and all of this. We're going to touch them soon. So, but here it allows us to manually decide what we want. First, we could choose to just hold down on our left mouse button and move, and then OK, and then you see it goes just the way you want it there. You could also use the more button here to click and get the same dialog box that we used, and then use it to arrange to wherever you want. For example, this represents 60 degrees here, and so that means we could alter it also from here, 45 degrees, 40 degrees, or just whatever we want it to be. And then OK. So that's because this cell was the only one selected. So if I apply that to all other cells, then this is what we have. Well, for tables, it may not be appropriate for us to use this, not always, you see, but one other thing that we can do is to use this same tool when we are chatting. When we are chatting graphs, and I'm going to show you how that works. So we're going to come back to what we had previously in here, and let's close this one up. So what I want to do now is we're going to select first name here, and I'm going to select here, hold down my control and select this, and I'm just going to insert a bar chart, so that will help us to see what we have or what we can do with the orientation. Okay, so we have this here. So while this is here, you can actually select, just click just by these names here or whatever you have in your chart, and then you can come here to choose an orientation. So you could have something like this. See, you could have something like this, or whichever orientation you want, you can implement it in your chart. So that's just what I wanted to show you, that it finds more expression when we present things like charts in Microsoft Excel. Okay, then let's go and see what we can do with these other tools. Decrease indent or increase indent. So for that other one, there are times where we might have something like revenue, and we could have streams of this revenue, like stream 1 and stream 2 and stream 3. We could have different streams of revenue. And so one thing you might want to do is you want some space at the beginning of each of these entries. So this is the time where you could increase you could increase your indents. Let me just have this here, ran between okay, so I just want some numbers in there, ran between, okay, let's just say 500 and 750. Okay, oh, I made that should be a comma. Okay, so we have this here and yeah, oh, come on. So let's assume this is month 1, and then we can just have this here, copy, and paste that as text so that it doesn't change. We paste it as text, and then this is what we have. So you could have something like this. Okay, and so we have these revenues here, and so the total we could just alternate plus there and give it any. So that's what I'm talking about, total. So this is what I'm talking about. You can always reduce the indent with using this, and then this increases the indent. So whichever way you find it pleasing, you could just use this and then make your table much more presentable. So that's for that of the increase and decrease indents. We now have the wrap, and we're asking ourselves, what do we do with this wrap? Okay, well, if you look at these two columns here in the table, you'll find out that the content, the table headers, or rather the column headers here, they're not that visible. When you click, you see more of it in the formula bar, and same here, more of it in the formula bar. Okay, so what we can do is select this row and then wrap. So when we wrap, we're able to see things within that row. We can see this, we can see this now, everything in it. If you implement a wrap and you don't see everything, what you can do is you increase the height of the row so that you can see everything, because if it's smaller, you can't still see things, but by the time you increase it appropriately, you're going to see the content of those cells or those headers as it might be. Okay, and you can always align them appropriately. So that's what we use the text wrap to do, to carry out. Sometimes you might have a table that is very, very long, and that's because the headers may not be wrapped. So what you can do is just select all of that row, wrap it, increase your row height appropriately, and then that would make it possible for you to just reduce your table appropriately. So you can bring it as close as this, or you could just do something much more appropriate. Okay, so that brings us to the merge. Some of us do this, and I just want to use it to show what can be done with the merge tool here. Let's say we have a table like this, and we find that we have admin here, finance, marketing. Some people feel that, oh, this might be too much, or if we want to manage this table, adding more rows, we'll need to bring in we'll need to type in this admin, enter it this other way or that. So to reduce the work, they just feel that, oh, I can select this and then use the merge tool. The merge tool has merge and center as its default. So if we click this, we're going to have a merge and center. Okay, so we have a merge center here, and so that's what it does. And it's going to warn you that merging cells only keeps the upper left value and discards other values. Now, since they are the same here, then we just say, okay, so this is what happens. So it merges all of this. So we can do that for all of them. Merge center, it gives us that message, and also for marketing, merge center. In fact, we could just click on this default. It tells us, it gives us the warning, and then we have this one here. Okay, so that's what the merge does. But let me show you what other options can do in the merge. So let's assume that I have admin and I have Charles here, and let me just create 3 more of this. So for the first one, merge center, that is what it does. So the text is now at the center as if it were of a cell. But when we come here and click merge across, it gives us the same warning. And if I say, okay, can you see? So this is not here. But notice that I always lost the Charles from it. So you need to be careful when you are doing merges, you see. So for this other one, we go and then use merge. So it just does same as what you have here. So the reason why you're using the merge across is because you might be selecting more than one row in order to merge. So merge across will take each row and merge according to rows. So that's just the difference. So this is what the three of them do. So you want to take note of that. I advise that you use the merge only for presentations and not for tables that you have to update now and then do some filtering and then do some other analysis on the table. If you have to do filtering analysis, please do not merge within a table. One of the reasons why we don't do that is I'm going to show you this. Let's assume we have a filter. I want to filter here, you know, for admin, assuming it's I want to print all admin, a list of admin individuals. You can see that I only get 1 row here, whereas I have 3 rows for that. So that defeats the purpose, and we start to run back and forth in order to get what we want. So here I can't easily print a list of everybody in the finance table. So what if you have a table, and on that table you have some merged cells, and you don't want to work with merged cells? I'm going to show you what to do in order to unmerge and then have all those cells filled. So the first thing we do is select all the cells that are merged and come to unmerge them here. So in this case, we've been successful in unmerging the cells. So, but we have all of these empty, they are blank. So we want to fill them. So once again, we're going to select all of these cells, come to find and select here. It's in the editing group here. And then we go to special. We just go to the go to special, click on it, and then we select the blank. Select blanks because we want to select blank cells. So we click OK. So notice that only the blank cells are selected here. So what we do is that if you notice, you find that the first blank cell should have the same content as the first cell that is not blank. So what we do while they are still selected is to just hit the equal sign. Don't click anywhere. Just go hit the equal sign and then click on your first cell that is non-blank. So that's it. So while it is like this, hold down your control button. Hold down your control button and hit enter. So when you do that, you find that it fills them appropriately. There's a formula that it has created there stating that this is up, this is equal to this is equal to this, which is true. And when it comes here, this was not a blank cell, but this was a blank cell. So the formula applies in all of the blank cells to give you what you have here. So you need to select them, copy, and then remember what we did in our paste. Just click on the arrow down button and paste as values. Paste as values. So we have them here pasted as values, and then our work is done. We now have all the cells having non-formulas but having content in them appropriately. So that is what you do when you receive a table where you have blank cells within and you want to populate them. Manually populating them with what they should be can be a lot of work. So you could use this to achieve that purpose. So that is what you can do with all of the tools that are in the alignment group. I hope you've learned something from this tutorial. And so if you have, you could make comments about it. I will appreciate comments about it. Please just feel free to just comment whatever comes to your mind. Thank you for watching. I'll get to you with another video.